Very good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234 to kick things off. We say, hello, meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you. Am I seeing right? 60 in Los Angeles, but still 51 in the Northeast?
It's still a little cool today. Yeah, we had some milder weather yesterday. It felt great in the sun, but today we're back to mostly cloudy skies. Might have a little bit of sunshine through the early part of the day, but look at the showers that came through earlier this morning, mostly impacting northern New Jersey. Right now, through around 7 a.m., you see some of that light rain, especially up in the northeastern corner of the state. Rest of New Jersey staying dry for now, but there will be some more rain that comes in this afternoon along this front that takes over later on this afternoon. So I think we make it through most of the morning dry, again, save for that early morning spritz up in the northeastern corner of the state. Then going into this afternoon, look at all of the rain that moves in thanks to the front that develops and gives us heavy rains throughout the overnight. Could pick up to upwards of an inch of rain, especially down toward the coast. So as this low develops, it kind of sits and parks itself just to the east of New Jersey, and that brings in all of these clouds and showers into not just tomorrow, but also Friday. Unsettled weather, meaning you might run into a sprinkle, otherwise it's just cloudy. Have to wait till Saturday morning to clear things out beautifully. It's all due to this block, also known as the Omega block, because the jet stream is in this shape of the Greek letter Omega right there, and that's what prevents any of these systems from moving along. So we're kind of stuck in this little bit of a weather pattern across the Northeast for the next few days. Good news is it doesn't last long, and we clear out just in time for the weekend with hot weather on the way for next week. We'll tell you all about that with your next weather update.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. And right now we have 53 degrees northern New Jersey, 51 degrees in Trenton. In Los Angeles, it is 60. It is also 60 in San Diego. Some traffic to tell you about. We have a crash on Route 73 north of Prospect Avenue, Berlin, New Jersey. Pardon me, the left lane is closed. Then on the Pulaski Skyway, which is Truck Route 1 and 9, that's the elevated roadway, we have a disabled vehicle. This is northbound near Tunnelly Circle in Jersey City. You can see the right lane is closed. Let's see if you can make it out there. Where did we have it, Pam? It's kind of hard to tell on that shot. They were stopped a second ago, she tells me. So literally, they may have cleared that up. It's very possible. But that was a disabled vehicle, Pulaski Skyway, northbound by Tunnelly Circle in Jersey City. So they said the right lane was closed. It looks like it may have just reopened. That's a good thing. Hudson River crossings for the New York area right now. The Lincoln Tunnel is reporting 20 minutes in. Holland Tunnel. Pam, do you have Route 139? Let's take a peek if you have that. That's the approach to the Holland Tunnel going into the lower part of Manhattan. And that's usually right now moving. Let's see if, pardon me, if it is moving, we're in good shape. If it's already crowded, it's already crowded. See that on the right side of your screen? That's a bad sign for the day. That's talking about 35 to 40 minutes into Manhattan from that point. GWB upper and lower levels. Let's see if we could judge a little better situation there. Upper level is going to be on the right side of your screen, lower level on the left. And we'll see what we have there. It's not so bad. At least that's moving, and that's going to cost you. From that point, if it's moving like that, it's about 25 minutes in. To the west coast we go. We have a traffic collision in Newhall by the 5 and Templin Highway off-ramp. Also, it says here something about weather conditions. We'll ask Mike what that means. If there is something in terms of fog, could be fog, it could be a dampness, road rain or something. But we'll ask Mike about that. And we have a missing elderly person in L.A., in the vicinity of Hawthorne Boulevard. Ruben Martinez is the person they are looking for, elderly man. So if you see an elderly man, it's only 4:04 in the morning, please just call police. Keep an eye on the person, but stay distant. Do not approach them because they might get scared. We don't want to do that, okay? It is 4 minutes after the hour, and President Trump boarded Air Force One and took off for China from D.C. yesterday afternoon. The president is about to land in China in the next hour or so. Should be happening. He'll be there for the next few days and will hold a number of meetings with the country's communist supreme leader, Xi Jinping, in Beijing. The key question many are asking, key questions, whether Trump can negotiate with China from a position of strength and whether Taiwan will be left exposed as a result. The independent nation of 23 million people, Taiwan, has spent decades living under threat from the Chinese Communist Party, which claims Taiwan as its territory, despite never having ruled it. That's something I just learned. I didn't realize that. I thought they had broken away, and I think a lot of people, had thought that as well. But observers warn that Xi may try to offer Trump a deal. We'll cooperate with tariffs, with fentanyl, with U.S. business access, global flashpoints like Iran or Ukraine. We'll be on your side. But you have to accept a larger Chinese role in Taiwan's future. Now, we don't know that that's the case, but think about that. That's a chess game move that Xi may play with Trump, and something that Trump said would be off the table. Taiwan is not a bargaining chip no matter what. So we'll see what happens. Again, President Trump now in China or landing. He's about to land in China right now. The UAE has had enough of Iran attacking sites in their country using drones. So they started bombing oil facilities in Iran. Look at that. They blew them to smithereens. This is the UAE and Saudi Arabia, by the way, cooperating. In the meantime, the U.S. announced new sanctions Monday against 12 entities accused of aiding Iranian oil shipments to China. Meanwhile, President Trump said the ceasefire with Iran is unbelievably weak following his rejection of Tehran's latest peace proposal. Trump said Monday that a large group of generals is waiting on his word for next steps in the conflict with Iran. In this proposal that was made by Iran, they said that they get to restore their nuclear. They knew damn well this is just another stalling tactic. They know that we've said it a million times, and every other country in the region agrees. Nukes off the table. What's the first thing they put in their offer? Nukes must be restored. We must have nukes. No, this is the same country that told us for 30 years they have no nuclear ambitions, and then they snuck in nuclear power or nuclear uranium and said, "Oh, it's only for power." But you only need 5% enrichment for power. But yet they were enriching it at like 70%, which is what you use for bomb. So they play us as fools. And the whole point here is to just extend and extend and extend, hoping that the midterms will come up and President Trump will be weakened, and then they can get back to doing what they're doing. That's all they're trying to do. So at this point, President Trump, that's why he has 3 aircraft carriers. They're ready to flatten them. And I think that's going to be the ultimate result because they just don't know any other way. A career criminal holding 2 guns randomly opened fire at stopped cars along a Massachusetts roadway Monday, leaving 2 men in critical condition. Listen, and this may be disturbing to some people who may be disturbed by gun sounds, so just lower your sound if that's the case. But listen at the alleged shooter. His name is Tyler Brown, believed to have fired up to 60 rounds.
But we don't know. I have to say, Ben,
Now, that is terrifying to hear and terrifying to see. 2 people were shot, innocent bystanders in their cars. A DoorDash driver named this gentleman. Oh, no, that's not the gentleman. We'll see. There's a different gentleman you'll see as a DoorDash driver. That's the suspect, Tyrone Brown. But it's coming up. DoorDash driver who was named Casimir Bangura. He's from Cambridge, Massachusetts. He was just doing a DoorDash delivery and got shot. He was in very serious condition. They think he'll survive now. Same thing with a second person, a second driver sitting in his car who was shot by that suspect allegedly. That's the DoorDash driver right there. That is Casimir Bangura. So we say a prayer for him and hope he does well because he was just working hard trying to make a delivery. So the shooter was then shot himself by a Massachusetts state trooper and a Marine veteran with a license to carry. This happened about 1:30 in the afternoon Monday on Cambridge's well-known Memorial Drive. I've been there many times myself. Witnesses say people were jumping from their cars, scattering in search of safety, going under the car too, and that officer and Marine heroically charged toward Brown while he was firing that rifle, that assault rifle. They finally shot him. He was treated on the scene by officers, brought to a local hospital. He's being held and is expected to survive. And Brown, by the way, has a lengthy criminal history. He's called a career criminal, including a history of shooting at police officers. Yet Boston's very progressive judges repeatedly let him out. In fact, even very liberal Democrats in the prosecutor's office had said that he needs to get the full sentence for his last sentencing. They wanted him in jail 12 years. And the judge said, nope, let him out 3, and they said 3 to 5, and he was on parole in his 5th year right now. When people who are experiencing this said, "No, Your Honor, he needs 12 years behind bars. He's a mental case." Brown was scheduled to see his parole officer on Monday. Ironically, he now faces 2 counts of armed assault with intent to murder and other charges. But apparently, judges today on the bench, there are multiple reasons why you sentence someone to jail. It's not only for rehabilitation, and that is one of the reasons we do send them, but it's also for punishment. We do believe in punishment in the society, but it seems that there are judges with way too much empathy today who don't look at it as part of their job to punish somebody who's committed a wrong in society. Otherwise, what's the point of a jail? It's to separate and isolate somebody who can't get along with the rest of society so they will learn, but also so that they're safely apart from people and they won't cause harm. In this case, now you had 2 people who are in critical condition because that judge failed to do her job. New Jersey health officials say that 2 residents may have been exposed to somebody who was infected with the hantavirus on a plane. No word on where they live or when this may have happened. Meanwhile, 3 New Yorkers are among the 18 people being quarantined in Nebraska and Atlanta due to the hantavirus. The 3 had been passengers aboard the MV Hondius cruise ship, which was hit with a deadly outbreak of the disease in early April. And a French woman who was aboard that ship is back in Paris, now in critical condition after developing the most serious version of the disease. She was hit so much that doctors placed her on so-called ECMO machines. That's basically an artificial lung and heart. The CDC describes the hantavirus as a rare family of viruses usually passed to humans through contact with infected rodent droppings. Human-to-human transmission, very difficult and rare, with symptoms at first mimicking the flu, and it could be fatal. One of the 3 New York residents from New York City, one from Westchester, and one from Orange County. So far, there have been at least 10 confirmed or suspected cases of hantavirus connected to the Hondius outbreak, including 3 deaths. It is 12 minutes past the hour right now, and a strand of DNA recovered from Nancy Guthrie's Arizona home is undergoing extensive testing at the FBI's crime lab as the investigation hit the 100-day mark, and authorities continue to hold out hope for a break in the case. The DNA sample recovered from the 84-year-old's home in the wake of her abduction had initially been sent to a private lab in Florida by local Pima County Sheriff's detectives, despite the feds offering early on to analyze it at their facility. Several weeks after Nancy went missing, the evidence was finally turned over. Nancy's believed to have been taken from her Tucson home in the early morning hours, February 1st. Doorbell camera video captured a masked man standing on the doorstep the night that she was believed to have been kidnapped. Blood spatters later discovered near her front door. And New York City is currently dumping a record $43 billion into its public schools while spending way more per student than any other large U.S. school district. Over, get this, $44,000 per student every year, despite plummeting enrollment and awful exam results. That is 50% more per student, by the way, than any other district in the nation is spending. And they have better results. So there's clearly something wrong here. And now the massive price tag may grow even higher as Mayor Mamdani finalizes his first budget proposal. Budget watchdogs say that enormous amount of spending is being called unsustainable. 15% of the city's 1,600 schools operate below 50% capacity. So they could be consolidated. You could put 2 schools together and save that money. It's a total waste. Nearly half of all city schools now have fewer than 400 students, and a new study shows the decline is only going to get worse in the future. People in New York are having fewer and fewer kids, but all that spending has produced awful results. Only a third of 4th grade students rated proficient in math. Only 28% were proficient in reading, and in the 8th grade, just 23% of city students could do math and 29% could read. So where's the money going? Apparently to teachers. Not that they don't deserve it, but come on. In 2023, New York City spent 61% of its whole education budget on teacher salaries versus 43% spent on teacher salaries in Miami. And Miami has way better test results, something that we really, really, really need to stop and analyze. It is 14 minutes past the hour. When we come back, we will have a lot more news, plus meteorologist Mike Favetta's forecast. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Wednesday, live in New Jersey and New York. Now we welcome our friends in Los Angeles, San Diego, and our new sneak peek channel on FLA.com in Florida. It is 16 minutes past the hour. We will take calls at 888-658-0234. Here's meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning. I'm getting ready for the on location shows, right? Down in the beach in Broward County. Mm-hmm.
Let's
It'll
do it.
happen. It'll
I got my
happen.
little I got my little pina colada and the umbrella and the little I have my little inflatable pinky thing to go around my
Uh-huh.
waist. It's gonna be nice.
And plenty of maraschino cherries for the kids because they just go
Of
nuts for
course.
those. So yes,
Of
all
course.
the red
Nothing
dye
nothing
number
like a
40 you
Shirley
can
Temple.
get. Exactly. First thing in the morning, we start off beautiful today. A little rum floater on top too, with a little bit of cloud cover on the way. Dry, but there are some rains on the way. Look at all this wet weather that moves in later on this afternoon into this evening and sticks around into tomorrow and for Friday. A lot of the showers from yesterday now moving out eastward down in Florida, so not expected to stay wet very long for you. Even though today looks pretty gray and gloomy, we have to wait till tonight for those rains to come. And most of the day tomorrow is also pretty gray with showers on and off through the day. Friday, still cloudy. Saturday is a beautiful start to the weekend. Chilly in the morning, but there's this rapid warm up thanks to the dry air that takes our highs into the upper 70s as soon as the late morning and early afternoon. And then clouds by Sunday afternoon, maybe a few sprinkles, but I think we're back to sunshine for Monday and Tuesday, especially with the temperatures soaring into the 90s next week. Some very warm weather on the way. So the futurecast showing that line of showers moving on eastward and kind of staying put over the next few days, whereas the rest of the country stays relatively dry with that clear sky out west and even more clear sky beyond the morning marine layer down toward the southwest coast. So nice and dry even for you. Most of the country again staying clear with that by Saturday. Most of the clearing takes place across the East Coast. So drier conditions developing there into next week. You can hear it in my voice, and the allergies are once again sky high after so much pollen yesterday. The high level returns for trees and grasses. Weeds starting to climb as well as we enter the peak of ragweed season coming up in just about a month. So the rain continues for the rest of the day today with all of that moisture moving eastward. A lot of it into tomorrow as well with that wet weather sticking around. And we could get upwards of an inch, especially along the coast, because as that low develops offshore, tends to throw back a lot of the moisture and pulls in some of that moisture along the Atlantic, providing you see that stripe of green going right up the Turnpike and Parkway. That's where we'll see up to an inch of moisture there. It stays hot out west, though, with that very warm weather developing anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees above average. And these areas here shaded in red, 100-degree heat, the heat that takes over for the rest of the day. So all of that hot weather today lasting with that clear sky. We'll tell you all about the what you can expect for the next few days with the cool down, Ken, that comes up. That's in the next few minutes.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to a cool down, or at least Pam will. Not so much here, but I thank you, sir. It is now 54 degrees in northern New Jersey, 53 in Trenton. In California, we have 60 in Los Angeles. It is now 61 San Diego. Only 4:20 in the morning there, 7:20 East Coast time. We do have a crash to tell you about eastbound north of Prospect Avenue, Berlin, and that's on Route 73. One left lane of two lanes currently closed. To the Pulaski Skyway we go. That's the truck route 1 and 9 elevated. And you can see that we have a mess right now. Apparently, there's a disabled vehicle, Pulaski northbound by Tunley Circle in Jersey City. If you're going to pick the worst spot on the planet ever to have a breakdown, there it is. So, because it's elevated, there isn't a shoulder and there's nowhere to go, and you can't get an emergency vehicle up there. That's part of the problem. So, you are SOL. And by that, I don't mean Saul. That's what you are if you're stuck in the Pulaski in a breakdown, and that's what you got right now. We have some other issues to tell you about. Route 139, making your way into the Holland Tunnel, which is not that far from there, actually. It's just a couple of miles south. Just a mess, bumper to bumper traffic, and that's going to cost you about 35 minutes into Manhattan. The Lincoln Tunnel is only 25, and the GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach. You'll see the upper level on your right, lower level on your left is about 25 to 30 minutes in, slow but moving. To California we go. Quick issue here. We have a traffic collision, Newhall, unknown injuries on the 5 at Templin Highway off-ramp. We have also a missing elderly person. Ruben Martinez is the name. This is in L.A. proper, Hawthorne Boulevard. If you happen to see an elderly person, a man, walking alone now, 4:21 in the morning, West Coast time, please do not approach the person. Call police. Keep an eye on them until police can arrive. It is 22 minutes after the hour right now, and an anti-Israel mob clashed with counter-protesters near a Brooklyn synagogue Monday night, less than a week after similar demonstrations in Manhattan. At least 3 people were held by police after agitators swarmed the area near the Young Israel Senior Services of Midwood. The anti-Israel mob chanted, "Palestine is ours alone." Several carried a wide banner that read, quote, "Israel is killing children." The demonstration mirrored that other one that wreaked havoc at Park East Synagogue, Manhattan. That was back on May 5th, on Tuesday. Both were organized by anti-Israel activist group Poloda, New York, New Jersey, which promoted the rallies with slogans such as "No settlers on stolen land" and "Stop the sale of stolen Palestinian land." 22 minutes passed, and it looks like the thumping she got during last week's LA mayoral debate has forced LA Mayor Karen Bass to skip out on the upcoming mayoral debate that was scheduled for tonight. Bass will instead travel to Sacramento, where a spokesperson says she will be, quote, "fighting for critical state funding for housing, homelessness, and Palisades recovery." Okay, you've had over a year for Palisades recovery. You've gotten like 2 houses built. Now, all of a sudden, when you're supposed to have your debate, you decide that I got to go today. Of course, this is making a lot of people scratch their heads after seeing the debate last week. An online poll taken after the last debate had 88%, pretty thorough, of all responders saying that she got trounced, that independent candidate Spencer Pratt trounced the 2 other candidates. Only 7% believe current Mayor Bass won that debate, and that's probably including her family members. It is 23 minutes past. A horrific night in Patterson Sunday as 2 people were killed, 4 others hurt as a dozen bullets were fired. Police say the incident happened just before 8:30 at the intersection of Rosa Parks Boulevard and Godwin Avenue. 6 people had been shot there, and they were taken to St. Joseph's Hospital for treatment. The 2 men pronounced dead were only identified as being 29 and 43 years of age. The other 4 now stable. This is the second serious shooting incident in Patterson in the last few weeks. Back in mid-April, 1 person was shot dead. 3 others had to be rushed to the hospital in that other episode. Dramatic new video showing the moment a Frontier Airlines jet struck a trespasser, not a passenger, on the runway at Denver International last weekend. This may be disturbing for some, just to give you a heads up. It's disturbing for me to see that. This happened early in the morning, overnight, Friday into Saturday. Now there's new information regarding the man who was killed. Officials now believe this was a suicide, and they say 41-year-old Michael Mott was a career criminal with at least 20 prior arrests, including assaulting a police officer and trespassing at the airport. But the Denver judges kept letting him go free time and time again. And this is how it results. So this is where being empathetic, a little too empathetic as a judge, ends up costing the person his life, because maybe this person needed mental help. Hello? Or maybe should have been put in jail to contemplate what was going on, but now the person is dead. Investigators say that Mott jumped over the 8-foot-tall perimeter fence that was topped with barbed wire. He got past the security cameras because there was a herd of deer near his entry point, and there was also a ravine in which he ducked. So he had enough wherewithal to do all of that. But nonetheless, he succeeded in his suicide attempt. Infrared camera images then show him walking directly into the path of Frontier Flight 4345 as it was accelerating for takeoff. It was about 130 miles an hour at that point. The aircraft's massive right engine, number 2, was at full rotation, tragically sucked him into the intake. Again, officials believe that was his plan. The engine immediately exploded. The jet came to a halt on the runway. Passengers were evacuated due to the engine fire because when a plane is taking off, it's fully loaded down with fuel. A dozen passengers had minor injuries, not yet known what led Mr. Mott to this point, but the investigation is continuing. In New Jersey, Governor Mikey Sherrill unveiled New Jersey Transit's Rapid Action Plan yesterday. The plan targets cleaner trains, stations, and improved rider safety. NJ Transit will add real-time GPS tracking for commuters statewide, and officials also announced a redesigned mobile app for easier trip planning. The upgrades will use NJ Transit's existing budget funds. And a key state New Jersey Senate committee voted to advance a transgender health care protection bill Monday. The bill would protect patients who receive gender-affirming care as well as their healthcare providers. Opponents raise concerns about protections involving transgender minors and providers. The federal government currently restricts gender surgery or medications for people under 18. The legislation would also expand protections for abortion and reproductive health care services. The bill now heads to the Assembly Health Committee tomorrow. And federal officials have agreed to delay plans for a controversial immigration detention center in Roxbury, New Jersey. The Trump administration will now conduct a months-long environmental review of the warehouse site. State and local leaders sued to block the facility, saying it was rushed and calling it unsafe. The proposed center would house up to 1,500 detainees in a converted warehouse. Officials argue the site lacks proper infrastructure and could strain local utilities and services. The move, however, is only a delay. If the environmental review clears the way, the feds plan on moving forward with construction. And get this, a New Jersey gambler just hit the jackpot of a lifetime, turning $1 into nearly $2 million. She's only identified as Deborah S. for good reason. She's from South Plainfield. She was in her living room playing on the Hard Rock Bet app when she hit a progressive mega jackpot worth almost $2 million. She had only been playing a couple of minutes when the win triggered unexpectedly. At first, she didn't believe it. She called her daughter and told her what happened and said, this got to be a mistake. Then the record-setting payout she realized she got, and that was the largest ever, by the way, awarded in the platform's New Jersey history. Congratulations, Ms. S., my new best friend. 28 minutes past the hour. When we come back, is your home being hacked by Russia? We'll talk with a global tech analyst about it. And the phone lines are open, 888-658-0234. We promise not to hack your phones. We're coming back in 2 minutes. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. Don't go away. Very good morning. It's 30 minutes past the hour, Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, and welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the East Coast, West Coast, and Southeast Coast forecast. Good morning. We're just going to ignore everybody else. They don't belong. Just get out of my way.
Yeah. Well, with the impressive weather that comes in for the weekend, especially with the dry, warm sunshine, we just could use a few days of rain. And I think with that wet weather beginning this afternoon, had a few light sprinkles early this morning in northern New Jersey, had the rain down across the southeast. Now, as we head into the next few days, it's this upper level system that provides more rain going in through tomorrow and Friday, with this moisture that just keeps on coming. So plan on some wet weather ahead with that cool down, thanks to the weather doing this little bit of a dip in the jet stream, this trough, also known as the Omega Block. Ken getting very excited about this term yesterday. It's been around for a while, but it basically you can see the jet stream forms the shape of the Greek letter omega, and that just prevents any of these systems from moving out. When you see that circle there, that's what's known as a cutoff low. See, a little extra weather verbiage for you on a Wednesday morning, and that just means that the system is fully stacked through the atmosphere, not going anywhere, and kind of parks itself over the northeast, going into, say, 2 to 3 days. So by Saturday, that finally moves out, pushes on by, and then we're back to our regularly scheduled sunshine. You have a little bit of a marine layer this morning down in LA, so that fog and low cloud cover reaching a little further inland. But by tomorrow, it eventually clears out, and we're back to a little bit of sunshine by the afternoon, and mostly sunny skies again through Saturday and Sunday as the clear sky takes over. But that cool Pacific air definitely putting down a little bit of that low cloud cover even this morning, and you can see that showing up here on the satellite picture, zooming on down toward LA. A lot of that cloud cover moving on shore just in the last few hours. We'll talk more about what to expect going into the weekend and next week, because the long range forecast, Ken, is hot and dry. Those details coming up.
It's about freaking time. Am I allowed to say freaking on the air? Let's say that.
Yeah, you can say
Yeah,
freaking.
I'm done. I'm done with the 41 degrees in the morning. My basil plants, there's now a mutiny. All my basil seeds, I put them out last night to plant them. They all got up and walked out. I saw little signs saying "screw you." I don't know what that means, and I have no idea why seeds are talking to me. But maybe I have a little
Well, at
issue.
least
All
they
right,
speak.
Mike.
You have Italian basil plants, but they speak English, so good on them.
They use Google Translate. I mean, come on, Mike. The
Oh,
program.
right.
It's
Yeah, this is
2026.
true.
La traduzione di Google. All right, Mike. We will check back in just a little bit, sir. 52 degrees, northern New Jersey, 53 in Trenton. It's now 60 in California and Los Angeles, 61 in San Diego. We have some issues on the roadway. We go over to the Pulaski Skyway. This is a disabled vehicle on the Pulaski northbound by Tunley Circle in Jersey City. Right lane is closed, causing an absolute mess. This was just a little slowdown on one of the connectors there about half an hour ago. Now look at the mess that we have. So avoid the Pulaski at all costs, especially coming from the Jersey City area. Again, the right lane is closed due to a disabled vehicle. The problem is you can't get an emergency vehicle up there because of the elevated situation, and they have no shoulder. So that's going to be a while, I'm sure, before that gets fixed. Let's do 78 here. We have a crash on 78 local lanes eastbound by exit 58, which is also 1 and 9. Pulaski is 1 and 9. It may be connected. Only this is at Port Street in Newark, about 3 miles away. Right lane of 3 lanes closed in that case. Now we have something on the Garden State Parkway, southbound, south of exit 131, Wood Avenue, south in Woodbridge Township. Right lane is blocked, and it's causing some residual delays for about 2 miles, which is what you can see there. This also a little construction there in the left lane, as you can see. To the New Jersey Turnpike, disabled vehicle on the Turnpike inside entry interchange 13A, Newark Liberty Airport exit. That is going to be a problem for folks trying to get to the airport to catch a flight today. And then we have problems on your Hudson River crossings. If you go over to 139, this is the approach from the Turnpike over to the Holland Tunnel. It's going to cost you 40 to 45 minutes in, they're telling us now. Lincoln is much better. It's only 30, and the GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach, slow but moving, 35 minutes in. The upper level's on the right, lower level is on the left. And to the West Coast we go, and of course, we got an update here. Let's bring it up and bring up the update. Come on, folks. We have two things to tell you about here. There is a traffic collision, unknown injuries in Newhall at the 5 at Templin Highway off ramp. We have a road closure now in East LA at the 10 and New Avenue off ramp. 35 minutes past the hour. Our homes are more connected than ever, but one of the biggest vulnerabilities may be sitting quietly in the corner, blinking and blinking without giving much attention. Federal authorities recently disrupted a large scale Russian hacking operation that may have hijacked thousands of home and office internet routers around the world, raising concerns about how vulnerable users may be online. Anne Liebschutz is global tech analyst and attorney. We say welcome to you, Anne. And it's one of those moments when I read this, I went, it is that has to be the weakest link right there, right? Because it's on the internet. It is online. There is a code to get into it, and if you hack it, you could read all the websites people are going to. You could read the info streaming back and forth. So, do we know first off? First of all, good morning. I didn't even let you speak yet and say good morning, but I'm so amazed by this. So, welcome, Anne. Let's start with that.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for having me this morning. And you actually opened this the perfect way, the same way I was going to. You said it's a quiet, it's a silent pathway into your home. It's really interesting that the routers were hacked and also very conspicuous at the same time. The term I was going to use to open this up was white noise. There are noises, there are things that are in front of us all the time, but we don't see them and we don't hear them because they're just there. That object in your house, that white noise. And that's the router. But when you think about it, what is the router? It's at its very essence, it's routing all internet traffic. It's routing everything that's coming out of your house via wired internet, Wi-Fi, and sending all your information to from other internet sites and other internet service providers. And so what essentially happened here is they broke into the router itself. And therefore, they were able to change domain name settings, DNS settings, which is essentially the internet address book, and have all internet traffic run through their system in a way that they had complete visibility into it. They could see passwords, they could see information. So silently, you're doing everything that you normally do, and they were just quietly sitting in the middle.
That's insane. And using probably massive computers to just record everything so they could comb through it later and see whom you were talking to and what you were interested in. And maybe if you're a government official, they come across some info, some sensitive info. That is absolutely amazing. It's sort of like a Breaking Bad thing where you are hiding in plain sight and nobody thinks that is the point of vulnerability. So now a lot of people have outdated routers, especially I have so many friends who say, I'm not going to pay $10 a month for the cable company's router. I'm going to go out and buy my own. But you make that $500 investment for a Nighthawk or whatever, and you buy it once and you just leave it there. Meanwhile, the technology keeps advancing, right? So you have people with outdated routers, and they are apparently the major cybersecurity targets, aren't they?
Well, again, we are in sync this morning because it's exciting to go buy a new phone. It's exciting to go buy a new gaming system. It's exciting to go buy a new iPad, but is it exciting to go spend money on a new router? No, it's functional, it's there, it's working, and it's not really fun to deal with. So most people don't do it. And then what made this such a just gateway for network level surveillance is most of these routers became out of date. So this is actually even happening since 2024. These routers became discontinued. They were no longer receiving service updates, which means there were not security patches, and that just left them as an open door.
Amazing, just amazing. So I'm so happy that for the one time in my life I ignored my neighbor who's Mr. Technology, and I literally because we have right this is from the home these studios we all use from our home studios. We have two different internet systems, both using the routers that keep getting renewed. And I always complain when the companies say we got to bring a new router. Now I'll never complain again. I'm very happy to hear that they're bringing a new one. So what have we done to address this? Has the government addressed it? Have the security companies, Norton and McAfee, have they looked into this? What are we doing to protect ourselves now?
So a few things. First, if you were, well, this came out a couple of weeks ago, early in February, CISA, which is the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, put a binding order out to the government to not use updated routers. So that was kind of a signal that something was coming. So government-wide, there is an order to make sure you're using routers that include that are current and being serviced. And then there are resources available. And when this news broke, the FBI and the National Security Agency put out a directive that put out information for not only organizations but individuals to protect themselves and where to go. So they cover the basic steps, such as what I'll say the first time and the last time, which is you have to use equipment that is still being serviced for purposes of security and patches. And they say what is often the things we know, but that doesn't necessarily mean we do them. Constantly change your password. Don't use the administrative password that comes with the that comes with the equipment, and things such as even thinking about where your router is, right? If you're an apartment or a condominium and it's right by the wall, these devices, they have signals, they travel a certain distance. The closer they are to other equipment, especially detection equipment, the easy they can be pulled out of the air. So even placing your routers in the center of the home. So, it's just simple news searches can get you to the coverage of this story. There's an NSA FBI directive on what to do, and a few other resources. If you're an organization, you want to work and you have an incident, you want to report it through the CISA, which is part of DHS. Individuals can report things through the FBI. It's called the IC3, the Internet Crime Complaint Center. And also the Federal Trade Commission through identitytheft.gov also has resources as exactly what you need to do and where you need to go.
And I should tell you, we have a condo in Fort Lauderdale as well. And when I am at the condo and I look at all the available Wi-Fi sites, if I had $1 for every one of my neighbors who say, this is number 3, apartment 6F of, you know exactly who it is. This is the Wilson home. No, you should have a generic name for your router, right? You don't want to tell the whole world whose router is available, and because then you could probably figure out, oh, the kid's name is the password or whatever. So you don't want to do that. And I've told neighbors to do that. Nobody listens. What is a website for more information at?
Sure. So, several of them, and you want to go to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3. If someone were to put that into their search browser, the website itself is a little complicated, but Internet Crime Complaint Center, it's on the FBI. For organizations such as schools, hospitals, any type of business that's had a breach, you want to direct your complaint to the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. That's part of the Department of Homeland Security. If they go to CISA Incident Report, to put that in a browser, they're going to come up with exactly the form that they need to bring the breach, bring the compromised security situation to the government's attention. And for most individual consumers, identitytheft.gov.
That is the way to go. And update your security programs too. I mean, constantly change the passwords. This is basic stuff that will really help. And Liebschutz, the global tech analyst and attorney, invaluable information. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. We always appreciate you stopping by. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. It is 44 minutes past the hour. When we come back, we will talk about fashion. We have fashion. Oh, we have fashion. Our friend Don Del Russo, who's now tolerating me at this point because I always make fun, not of her, but of me and my fashion. We will come back and talk with her about the latest, about the different fashion houses sort of intermingling. And meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full forecast when we come back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. 46 minutes past the hour. Meteorologist Mike Favetta in with the forecast for your city. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Beautiful weather on the way for the weekend. It's the time between now and Friday where we have some clouds and showers around. Already, the clouds in place across New Jersey. The rain moving in later on today with downpours headed for us tonight. A lot of the West Coast staying nice and dry, though, early this morning and will remain nice and clear going into the afternoon and the next few days. But it's what happens out east that brings back more of these showers into tonight and tomorrow with spotty rains all throughout the day. A lot of this unsettled pattern moves its way eastward, giving us the chance of some rain right until Friday night. Then we head into the weekend and it looks beautiful with clear sky ahead for Saturday and Sunday. Early next week sees a nice warming trend that brings our highs well into the 90s. So some really hot weather on the way after we get through some of these rains. We could use some rain since we're still in that drought across most of the state. Even as we head into Saturday, we get a beautiful day this weekend. Sunday, again, could have some early morning sprinkles, but look at this warming trend that takes us right to the end of May. All of that shade of red works its way up the coast, delivering above average temperatures. It's also expected to be relatively dry with a little bit higher chances of rain working off to our west, but that big drought in the southeast continues as we have a moderate drought across the southern parts of New Jersey going into the rest of this week.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, Mike. 748 East Coast, 448 West, 53 degrees northern New Jersey and in Trenton. On the West Coast, 61 in Los Angeles and 60 in San Diego. A lot of traffic issues to tell you about. Let's go to routes 1 and 9. That is the Pulaski Skyway. This is a disabled vehicle on the Pulaski right near Tunley Circle. And look at the absolute mess. Now, you know what? They just updated my screen. So hopefully that means they got to the car. They literally updated it as I'm talking to you now. So you can see there's a little motion. A few minutes ago, that was dead stop. So I'm hoping that's a good sign that hopefully by the next report that will be cleared up. But nonetheless, in the meantime, try to avoid Pulaski Skyway near Jersey City, Tunley Circle because of that disabled vehicle that may have just been cleared. Over to the Garden State Parkway we go. There's a crash on the GSP. This is northbound, north of exit 89B. Actually, no, this is a different one. This one is south of exit 131, Wood Avenue, south in Woodbridge Township. Right lane is blocked, and that's causing what you see on your screen there. Now we have a different one on the GSP to tell you about, which we don't have a camera shot for. This is a crash. Garden State Parkway northbound, north of exit 89B, which is Lakewood Township. The left lane is blocked. In that case, over to Route 139, making your way from I-78 into the Holland Tunnel. It's just a mess. It's just absolutely a parking lot right now. So that's going to cost you 35 to 40 minutes into Manhattan. And then as Pam takes a second to get over to the other cam, to the Lincoln Tunnel, we just had an issue on 495. There's a crash on the Helix, the eastbound ramp from, actually, this is before the Helix. This is the eastbound ramp from the Turnpike in North Bergen. The left lane is blocked, but it's causing delays all the way in. Look at this heavy, heavy traffic making your way to Manhattan. It's about 40 minutes from that point in through the tunnel to Manhattan. And then your GWB approach, much better, but slow. 40 minutes, and their upper level is on the right. Lower level is on the left. Just a mess. It is very, very, very nice to be inside today and not commuting, as our dear friend Don Del Russo will tell you about. From luxury fashion houses teaming up with athletic brands to beauty, travel, and lifestyle crossovers, collaborations are becoming major trends, and they're creating viral moments online. I'm New Jersey's fashion expert, Don Del Russo of LiveTheGlamour.com. That's Live the Glamour with an O-U-R. Glamour is here to break down some of the biggest brand collaborations. Good morning, Don. I should just call it the British spelling. The British spelling
I
of
love
glamour.
it.
Right? It just
My
seems
mom
more
actually
royal.
reminded me of
That's it.
it
You know, it's
too.
like,
She's in
we forget that there are many people who are British who are like, hello, mate, how are you? But we think of British as, hello, we think of it as King British and Queen British.
It's
But
very true.
why are brand collaborations becoming such a major trend right now in fashion?
It is so big and there's so many. I can't even keep up with them. I think it's because, well, one, you're bringing a whole new audience because it tends to be a lot of these fashion ones tend to be a higher end brand and then more of a street style brand, one that's super affordable. So it's very interesting that the two would collaborate, but it allows people who maybe can't reach for that very high expensive $1,000 piece now to afford it because it has that label's name attached to it in some way. Something like Stella McCartney in H&M. She is a very big name, and her pieces are expensive, and so someone's now able to go to H&M and buy a piece that's $150. So it's much more reasonable for someone who couldn't afford to buy maybe $1,000, $2,000 dress that she sells, or a handbag. So it's very interesting. And that sold out in minutes. I went on the site to try to just see, and everything was gone. It didn't have a chance. It was gone. Same with the Victoria Beckham and Gap. That just happened about 2 weeks ago, gone. I was on and like, oh, let me see if I could pick up a piece. Nothing was even, and I'm talking like as soon as it launched, it was out of the stores. You couldn't go in stores. You couldn't get it online. Unbelievable.
It's like people who buy tickets. You wait online for Ticketmaster or whatever. It's like, it just opened. How are they all gone? You have the bots buying up everything for people. So, but fashion is also emerging with sports, beauty, travel. And you talk about Beckham. So it's not just upscale and then streetwear, it's also upscale and sportswear and things like that, which by the way, I'm old enough to remember, they did this in the 70s. It was very big, where a lot of people were like dressing formally and wearing like tennis clothes and stuff underneath like a formal suit. They used to do that to make it look like, oh, I just got off the tennis court and look at me. Now I guess it would be pickleball court. Right.
Yeah. No, it is. And I think the reason why they're doing that is because it's tapping into a whole other audience, one that you would never maybe even see. So that sports style, was it Nike and Jacquemus? They did a collaboration. And now, Nike is super sporty. They have their own customer. They have that type that's going to buy their pieces. But this designer came in and tapped into that audience. So now that audience that maybe never even knew about a brand like Jacquemus is now knowing about it, hearing about it, seeing how it's incorporated into the sneakers that they're doing. And maybe now that new audience will go over and buy something from the brand outside of Nike. And I think it's a crossover for Nike, good for someone like Nike as well, because they are tapping into a audience that was higher end and maybe didn't care about their sneakers. And so like, oh, now I'll buy them. Now I'll buy this because this brand is attached to it. The same with Bauble Bar. Bauble Bar is jewelry, mostly jewelry. And they're super known to be super girly, feminine, and they're working with Major League Baseball. So they're two different ends of the spectrum. So you have this very girly brand, big crystal necklaces and rings that's now working with Major League Baseball. So they're tagging into that. So maybe a sporty style girl is saying, okay, I don't wear a lot of jewelry. It's not my thing. But if I'm going to do it for my friend's wedding, or I'm going to do it for an event, I'll do this collaboration. I'll do it because I love baseball. I love the Yankees. I love, my team. So I'll pick up a piece from Bauble Bar. I think it's a lot of things like that.
And then there's also the collaboration between Burberry. And by the way, if I hear one more person say Burberry, it's Burberry. Burberry. Yes. Sorry. Anyway, my aunt used to work for the company. That's why a former co-anchor of mine, he said, no, we're from Brooklyn. We always said Burberry. I'm like, you're wrong. Anyway, I used to tell her, call the company and listen to the way they answer the phone. They're not going to say, hello, this is Burberry.
No.
Anyway, Burberry. Back.
Burberry.
Burberry and
you're
what makes right, but it drives me nuts. What makes that pairing stand out in luxury swimwear space?
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting one. Hunza swimwear is known for this crinkle style swimwear. It's like very crinkly and very stretchy. So when you put it on, it looks like a tiny little piece, and all of a sudden it fits many sizes. And I think this collaboration worked because they kept it pretty simple. So it's a crinkle fabric, but they took Burberry's signature look, that plaid look, and they incorporated it into the swimwear. So they have like one bathing suit that's white with the Burberry outline going through it. I think like this works so well because this brand is known for their signature style, and Burberry has their iconic piece as well. So when you combine the two, you have an automatic win. People are saying like, I love this swimwear and I'm so excited that this high-end brand is attached to it, and now I could wear it. And a lot of people that buy buy Burberry, they buy brands like this, they want to buy the pieces just because it has that name on it. So it's like this automatic, I need to get that because the name is on it, whether they ever shopped Hunza before or not, or, they are dedicated to their brand. And so now they're going to buy every collaboration. They're going to buy any piece that they do, especially because it does become more exclusive. It's not something that's always available. So just like I said, things are selling out so quickly. People want to get on top of that because they know they're going to be the only ones wearing that. It's so limited, the collections.
Yeah, and of course, with 1 minute left, we can't go without talking about Victoria's Secret and Frankie's bikinis. Talk about that
Yeah.
soft, romantic vacation style that's everywhere on social media.
Yes, exactly. And that ties back into the swimwear again. I mean, we're going into summer, and Victoria's Secret is an iconic. We know it. We love it. People are always, years and years have been shopping for Victoria's Secret, and Frankie's Bikini is, I'd say, a relatively new, younger brand. And so for them to collaborate with such a big brand like Victoria's Secret, it opens up a whole new audience for them, but it also gives Victoria's Secret an edge on being newer and up to date because they have their audience. Maybe that's a little bit older. Frankie's a little bit younger. So now when you combine the two, you're reaching two different age gaps, which makes it very, very interesting to see how you can get into the two of them. I love Frankie's bikinis. I think they're so stylish and so cute. They're kind of a new one. They're great for Victoria to attach to, for sure.
And it keeps Victoria relevant and looking hip
Yes.
and cool. Otherwise, it becomes like the old lady brand, and you don't want that. No, and I'm not making
Exactly.
fun, but
No,
that's
it's
what
true.
a lot of younger people, right? Gen Zs and all will start saying, well, that's what my grandmother wears. No, I mean that is a
Completely.
relevant, cool brand by doing that. It's like when Tony Bennett, teamed up with Lady Gaga. For real, all of a sudden Tony Bennett was being listened to by 20 somethings, and that's how that happens. It's brilliant advertising and marketing. On New Jersey fashion expert Dawn Del Russo of livetheglamour.com. That's glamour with an O-U-R, the British spelling, not the British spelling. Thank you for coming on this morning. My favorite person of all time, always, every single week. We love you, Dawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken, so much.
You bet. It is 7:58 right now, East Coast, 4:48 West. For those watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, we'll be back live with New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Thanks for watching. Mornings with Ken Rosato back in 2. Good morning. It's 8:01, Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato taking calls 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy, windy today. Highs in the low 70s. Could be a shower, thunderstorm late tonight or later today, actually, in some spots. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will tell you the real info. I am just the reader. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Now, you did a great job. I would agree with that. Yes. Some cool weather this morning, some sunshine on the way, and then big rains later on tonight in the form of some thunderstorms. We start out cool with temperatures in the 50s, but they will rise quickly into the 70s later on today. We're already running anywhere from 2 to 11 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. So seeing things warm quickly with a southerly wind that's already giving us gusts of 34 miles per hour through most of southern New Jersey. This is in advance of the cold front that comes through tonight. So with the southwesterly wind, that warm air is racing in, and you will feel the warm up today, especially as we head into this afternoon. We start off the rest of this morning with the lingering showers up in the northeastern corner of the state that have moved on by. Those clouds are hanging low now, but eventually see clearing for most of the afternoon, and that sun will get us up into the mid and upper 70s there from Newark and Hackensack, even up towards Sussex. You hit 70 degrees as some rain showers try to move their way through by 1 o'clock today. The wind off of the water making the beaches feel much cooler, and as we head inland, it stays warm until about 5, 6 o'clock this evening as the sun sets. The cooler weather moves in with those showers, gives us the rain and heavier downpours on the way for tonight. You probably could hear a few rumbles of thunder with these that take us into tomorrow with that cooler, cloudy pattern ahead for tomorrow as well as Friday. Yeah, there could be some intervals of sun, but plan more so on the cooler, cloudy side of things, even as we head into Friday night. Saturday starts chilly, but clear and stays sunny with a big warm up ahead. Even Sunday looks nice and dry with all of that sunshine moving into the next few days. So the weekend looks great. Highs well into the 70s and 80s by Saturday. Could come close to 90 as soon as Monday. We'll give you those details coming up on the 7-day, Ken, in a few minutes.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. It is 52 degrees northern New Jersey, 56 degrees in Trenton right now, 51 in Cape May, and 52 in Vineland. We take a look at traffic. We got a lot of stuff going on. Let's go to the Garden State Parkway first. This is a little further south, Asbury Parkish area-ish. You like that? There is a crash. Garden State Parkway, it's northbound, north of exit 89B, which is Route 70 West, Lakewood Township. All lanes open. You could see the crash there off to the side. Flatbed, hopefully going to take care of that. Not causing massive delays, but nonetheless, be careful. Try it. The law says in like 42 states, if you see anyone on the shoulder, whether it be a police officer or a crash like that, you're supposed to make every opportunity to get over one lane. And if you can't, you're supposed to slow down 20 to 30 miles an hour to be cautious. I guess they feel they're going slow enough, but make the effort to go over a lane, please, people, whenever possible. That's why police, when they stop somebody now on the highway, they make the nose of their vehicle stick out into the lane. That's to make you go around. That's the whole point of that. We have another issue on the Garden State Parkway, and this one is northbound, north of exit 144, Route 510 Newark. There is a crash. All lanes open, but look at the residual problem there as you have people just rubbernecking, and that's what happens. They're trying to avoid the crash. We go over to 495. This is the eastbound ramp from the New Jersey Turnpike, North Bergen. The left lane is blocked right now, and that's causing delays for people making their way into the Lincoln Tunnel. You can see how heavy that roadway is right now. That's going to cost you a good 40 minutes in. We have another problem in this one. Wow, Pam is busy today with those fingers. We have a debris spill. We don't have a camera shot, Pam. I looked. A debris spill on the New Jersey Turnpike outer roadway southbound north of interchange 8, Route 33 Cranberry. The center lane is blocked. I looked. I can't find a camera shot of it, but nonetheless, beware. That's by exit 8, New Jersey Turnpike, outer roadway southbound. That is the Cranberry area. The center lane is blocked. Now, we mentioned the Lincoln Tunnel. Take a look at the Holland Tunnel approach 139 into the tunnel itself. This is a bumper-to-bumper mess on 139, making your way from I-78. It's going to cost you a good solid 40 to 45 minutes. And just like somebody wipe the schmutz off that lens, please. 40 to 45 minutes into Manhattan by the Holland. And the GWB, finally, our last. GWB upper and lower levels, heavy but moving, a solid 40 minutes in. The upper level is on the right. lower level is on the left. Well, there you have it. It is now 52 degrees again, northern New Jersey, and President Trump literally just landed in China. But yesterday he boarded Air Force One. He took off for China from D.C. yesterday afternoon. The president flew all night. He just landed literally in the last half hour in China. For the next 3 days, he will hold a number of meetings with the country's communist supreme leader, Xi Jinping, in Beijing. The key question many are asking is whether Trump can negotiate with China from a position of strength and whether Taiwan will be left exposed as a result. The independent nation of 23 million people has spent decades living under threat from the Chinese Communist Party, which claims Taiwan as its territory despite never having ruled it. Observers warn that Xi may try to offer Trump a deal. We'll cooperate on tariffs, fentanyl, U.S. business access, or global flashpoints like Iran and Ukraine in exchange for the President Trump accepting a larger Chinese role in Taiwan's future. But that is something that Trump says is off the table. It is 8:07. The UAE has had enough of Iran attacking sites in their country using drones, so they started bombing oil facilities in Iran. That's what you see on your screen there. In the meantime, the U.S. announced new sanctions Monday against 12 entities accused of aiding Iranian oil shipments to China. Meanwhile, Trump said the ceasefire with Iran is, quote, unbelievably weak. That's his quote, following his rejection of Tehran's latest peace proposal. Trump said that Monday, a large group of generals is waiting on his word for next steps in the conflict with Iran. Don't be surprised if something doesn't happen, or something does happen, I should say, while Trump is in China. Because the last time there was an invasion, Trump was sitting down at the table in Washington with Xi, got up, came back, sat down and said, we just bombed such and such. So that is what Trump does. Do not be surprised if there is an invasion while Trump and everybody's in China in order to send a message to China. Do not be surprised. Don't doubt me. Today is Wednesday, between now and Friday. Do not be surprised. If Tehran does not come to the table sincerely this time, you're going to see some very, very big bombing of just my gut, my experience of Iran. It is 8:08. A career criminal holding two guns randomly opened fire at stopped cars along a Massachusetts roadway Monday, leaving two men in critical. Listen as the alleged shooter, Tyler Brown, is believed to have fired up to 60 shots. So one of the two shooting victims, by the way, that's Tyler Brown, according to police on your screen. But one of the two shooting victims was a 34-year-old DoorDash driver. That's the gentleman right there. He's a victim. His name is Casimir Bangura of Cambridge. He was just trying to deliver food for people, and he got shot. He was in critical condition. He's now thought to be unstable. That's what we understand. So hopefully he will survive. Another shooting victim has not been identified, but we're hoping he'll survive as well. These people are just living their lives. The shooter was shot himself by a Massachusetts state trooper and a Marine veteran with a license to carry. This happened about 1:30 in the afternoon on Cambridge's well-known Memorial Drive, and witnesses say people were jumping from their cars and scattering to get to safety. New Jersey health officials said two residents may have been exposed to somebody who was infected with the hantavirus on a plane. No word on where they live or when this might have happened, but they said there's no reason to worry, as 99.999% of the cases of hantavirus can't be passed from human to human. It would be if there was an exposure to rat feces, rat droppings, et cetera, which rats do get on planes. Meanwhile, 3 New Yorkers are among the 18 people being quarantined in Nebraska and Atlanta due to hantavirus. The 3 had been passengers aboard the MV Hondius cruise ship, which was hit with the deadly outbreak of the disease starting in early April. And a French woman who was aboard the ship is back in Paris in critical condition after developing the most serious version of the disease. She was so ill, doctors placed her on an ECMO machine. That's basically an artificial lung and heart. The CDC describes the hantavirus as a rare family of viruses usually passed to humans through contact with infected rodent droppings. So don't be alarmed. The chance of human-to-human transmission is very difficult and very rare. The symptoms mimic the flu, but it can be fatal for certain people. Just like, we had coronavirus. If you have a weakened immune system, etc., you have a better shot at getting very sick. Most people, though, will feel sick and be healed. So we just don't want to send panic out to people. It is very, very rare, and it's almost impossible to catch it person to person. 8:11 right now, a strand of DNA recovered from Nancy Guthrie's Arizona home is undergoing extensive testing at the FBI's crime lab as the investigation hit the 100-day mark, and authorities continue to hold out hope for a break in the case. The DNA sample recovered from the 84-year-old's home in the wake of her abduction had initially been sent to a private lab in Florida by the local Pima County Sheriff's detectives, despite the feds offering early on to analyze it at their state-of-the-art facility. Several weeks after Nancy went missing, the evidence was finally turned over to federal investigators for testing. Nancy Guthrie, believed to have been taken from her Tucson home in the early morning hours of February 1st. Here we are in May already. Doorbell cam video captured a masked man standing on her doorstep the night police believe she was kidnapped, and blood spatters were later discovered near her front door. New York City currently dumping a record $43 billion into its public schools while spending way more per student than any other large U.S. district, over $44,000 per student each year, despite plummeting enrollment and awful test results. In fact, other districts around the country, including Miami, they spend way less per student and have way better test results. And an anti-Israel mob clashed with counter-protesters near a Brooklyn synagogue Monday night, less than a week after a similar demonstration in Manhattan. At least 3 people were held by police after agitators swarmed the area near the Young Israel Service Center in Midwood. The anti-Israel mob chanted, "Palestine is ours alone," and several carried a wide banner that read, "Israel is killing children." The demonstration mirrored another that wreaked havoc at Park East Synagogue in Manhattan May 5th. Both were organized by anti-Israel activist group Pal Oda, NYNJ, which promoted the rallies and slogans such as, quote, "No settlers on stolen land," and "Stop the sale of stolen Palestinian land." It is 8:13 right now. We have 56 degrees in northern New Jersey. And when we come back, Rider University is creating opportunities for students to connect with the surrounding community. We're going to talk about that and more. Mostly cloudy, windy today, highs low 70s. And you're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're coming back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 816, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, we bring you in. Right now, the President Trump, landed in China, in Beijing, just in the last half hour. And I'm just watching the internal feed here. We got about 1,000 Chinese nationals, of course, on the runway. Let me just put it out there. I love China. I love Chinese culture. I love Chinese food. I love Chinese people. Don't so much like the communist government, but just watching with amazement, they have like 1,000 greeters on the tarmac,
Wow.
and they're all dressed in white, and they're all holding Chinese flags. That's fine. You're in China. God bless them. But it's the bad side of communism. It is so communist organized. They're like, with the flags.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
you picture, like, in their head they're thinking, if I'm off 1 inch with this flag, I'm gonna get tossed off into a gully somewhere. But I do love the culture, and I love the people, and I love the history there. It's such a beautiful place. Hopefully now the government can allow the people to have a little more say, but that's just me. All right. Anyway, good morning, sir,
Good
and
morning.
welcome. Yeah, it's good. So we had a gorgeous afternoon yesterday. Man, was it
We
beautiful!
did.
Just
It
not a
was
cloud in the
stunning.
sky.
So clear and so beautiful. That's a preview of what's to come this Saturday. Maybe add 10 degrees to the forecast, and that's this weekend's weather. Today, kind of a mix in between, a little half and half situation. Yesterday, we had the warm up with the clear sky. Today, even warmer, but there are clouds that come in through the afternoon and rain shortly thereafter. So into the end of the day, some of that wet weather will be around going into tonight and tomorrow with some of the downpours. Had a few early morning spritzes, why you might see some of the dirty water drops on the car from the pollen concentrating on the car tops there up in Bergen County. But beyond that, we're dry for the rest of the daylight hours today. I think after 5, 6 p.m. could see some sprinkles return with some of the heavier rains like you see here off to the western part of Pennsylvania. They move in later on tonight. So again, around 8, 9 o'clock, that's when the heavier rains get going. Some thunderstorms overnight. Could hear a rumble of thunder down the shore, certainly, with some of the energy concentrated there. And then as the system moves up the coast, it just kind of sits and spins offshore, providing more clouds, more intermittent showers right through Friday. But Saturday looks beautiful. Might even see a sneak peek of that on Friday evening with some clear sky. You know, when you get those pretty sunsets with the shades of pink and purple? Yeah, that going into Friday night. And then really warm weather on Saturday with those highs topping 81 degrees there in Hackensack, Toms River down into the 70s. A little bit cooler still at the beaches, but still, Sunday looks great with a dry start and should be a dry finish. So the longer range beyond that into Monday and Tuesday, featuring even warmer weather with lots of clear sky ahead by Tuesday. Wednesday looks great as well. Maybe a few showers in there come Thursday toward the end of next week. But otherwise, the weekend, this is key, looks stunning. 82 on Saturday, full sunshine. Sunday, 89 degrees, really warm weather ahead with that awesome forecast just in time for the unofficial start of summer. About, what are we got, 12 days away now for Memorial Day? So we're getting close, Ken.
All right, you've redeemed yourself. You've redeemed yourself. I was already planning a little conversation from my friend Gino, who's going to come knocking on your door and having a talk with
Oh,
you. Just
right.
a talk, just a talk. That's all
Well,
it was. I
Gino will
said,
have
Gino,
to beat up with Nino and Enzo. So, you got the,
ah,
the Bruise brothers, double trouble over here.
for those who don't realize, Nino and Enzo are Mike's little babies. Yeah, I'm sure they would take Gino. Gino is 92, so I don't know how much he could do at this point. Even the talk is kind of rough, in between the sucks of oxygen. All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. We'll check back with you. It is 52 degrees northern New Jersey, 56 degrees in Trenton. It's 51 in Cape May, and it is now 54 degrees in Vineland. And we now have a message from our good friends at Rider University. We always think about colleges, universities as being a place to learn. Yes, but it goes far beyond that at Rider University. Community engagement is what is very important there. And the university is creating opportunities for students to connect with the surrounding community through mentorship, service, partnerships, and civic engagement programs through its Center for Community and Belonging. Daryl Mace is Vice President for Community Engagement and Belonging at Rider University. We say good morning and welcome, Daryl.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Great, thank you. And, the mission of Rider University Center for Community and Belonging is a wonderful one. Tell everybody what that mission is first so we could start that off.
Absolutely, Ken. So, what we're really looking to do with the Center for Community and Belonging is to help students gain experiential learning by doing service work, doing experiential learning work within and around the community.
So you're creating well-rounded, good members of society. It's not just book learning, it's how do I take that book learning and integrate in and become part of society? And that also helps you become a successful person as well, right? Once you learn how to communicate, do community service, it's a great networking technique as well, right?
It's networking, it's all kinds of things. It's where the textbook ends, Ken. It's where students are able to go out into the community. They're able to work with local nonprofits. They work with local entrepreneurs and business owners. And it's where they're able to actually apply the skills that they learn in the classroom. And really focusing on how we can make those opportunities directly connected to students' aspirations in their career so that they're really building experiential learning and building knowledge. They're doing the work before they actually have to do the work.
It makes you a much better human being too, right? And then knowing that these are basically ambassadors coming from Rider University says a lot about the university and its charge. And the Bonner Community Scholars Program has been part of Rider for more than 2 decades. So talk about what makes that program such a meaningful experience for students.
Well, the Bonner Foundation has really created an excellent opportunity for students across the nation, actually, to be able to gain service opportunities. Our Bonner community leaders actually do 150 hours of community engagement, community service every semester, and they have a really structured curriculum that they move through where they're actually gaining leadership skills and leadership experience as they move through towards graduation. And what we're doing with our Bonner program now is we're expanding the number of students. We're really leaning into Bonner, expanding the number of students that we're engaging in the Bonner Community Leaders Program. And we're moving to a theme based model of community engagement. We have 4 themes that we're really looking into: education and youth development, intellectual and developmental disability and autism, food and housing insecurity, and physical and emotional health and well being. And our students are going to be able to pick a theme area and they're going to walk through 4 years in that theme area where they'll continue to gain experience, continue to gain leadership skills, and ultimately network in order to get jobs.
I mean, that could very well change the whole trajectory of their lives, right? And even they may come into Rider with one mindset and one direction and come out with an entirely different one once they get that real life experience. That's just an amazing thing. And so when they come into the Bonner program, this is a 4 credit program, correct?
It's not credit based, but the students are scholarships. So they come in and they have a rigorous interview process, and they're selected to join the Bonner Community Leaders Program. And they join the program for 4 years, and they move through their college career. They're doing their courses and all those things, but they're able to now select a theme that really connects with their major and their intended career path. And like you said, Ken, oftentimes we learn things about what we like and what we don't like. And it's better to do it in your first year at a university than it is to do it when you're walking across the graduation stage. So it's really best
100%.
practice in community engaged learning.
If I had $1 for every student I heard who are children of friends of mine who said, when asked, "Oh, so what's your major?" I don't know. What do you want to do for a living? And I'm thinking, oh, that's a good expensive $200,000. Good, that's great.
Exactly.
And that's what
Yeah.
happens because kids, they go to college because it's what you do without, getting the real life experience like this. This is unbelievably wonderful. What a great program. And what are the impacts you're seeing now with the students, and what is the response from the community?
Well, the response from the community has been tremendous. It's actually led to a lot of new community partnerships that we're able to build, and that's really the goal, honestly. We want our students to get experiential learning, and we want Rider to be embedded in the community. And so, organizations like Trenton Downtown Association, the YMCA, the English School, Homeworks Trenton, all of those organizations are really leaning into what we're doing at Rider, and the students are loving it. We have, in particular, we have students who are interested in science, they're STEM students, and previously we haven't really had a lot of opportunities that connect directly to their major. But now, as we're building out the physical and emotional health and well-being, students are super excited to be able to practice their trade while they're actually also doing their Bonner community leader work.
I love it. And Daryl, talk about some of the students working with the autism community.
Yeah, so that's a really big new initiative that we're leaning into. As you know, Ken, New Jersey in general and Central New Jersey in particular is a really robust has a really robust autism and intellectual and developmental disability community. And our students already at our School of Education are working with the Council of Exceptional Children to run social clubs for individuals with autism in the community. And what we're going to do is we're leaning into that and we're going to expand the social clubs. We already had opportunities for employment with students from Princeton Child Development Institute, PCDI, and the Arc of Mercer. And we're going to expand those employment opportunities for individuals with autism in the community. And we are also going to host Lawrence Township Public Schools transition program. So this is a program for 18 to 21-year-olds who are continuing their high school education because they have a little bit of a delay and they need to move through school until they're 21 years old. The transition age program is going to be hosted on Ryder's campus. And that's great because it gives these transition age students opportunities to see college life, to experience college life, to interact with our students, to go and eat at dailies, to use the facilities in the student recreation center. But it also gives experiential learning opportunities for our education and psychology and school counseling students, where they're able to directly interact with the populations that they'll be working with as they move into their career.
I love it. I love it. And the website is rider.edu, rider, rider.edu. Daryl Mace, Vice President for Community Engagement and Belonging at Rider University. That is what makes Rider so special, and that makes the students so well-rounded. It is great that you're doing what you're doing, and thank you for it. And thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Ken. It's a good day to be a Bronc.
Amen. You bet. All right. Have a great day, Daryl. Thank you.
Take care.
It is 8:28. You bet. When we come back, small businesses are the backbone of their communities, and May is Small Business Awareness Month. We're coming back in 2 minutes. Very good morning. Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. It is 56 degrees now at 8:31. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, after that gorgeous afternoon yesterday, is gorgeous today.
It is gorgeous today. Yeah, we've got some amazing weather on the way. And already across southern New Jersey, Ken, it has stayed clear south of 195, not a cloud early this morning. Only if you find yourself in northern New Jersey, especially north of 287 and west of there, some of those clouds still lingering, but they are clearing out right now. And we're on our way well into the 70s today, especially west of the Parkway down the shore. If you find yourself along the beaches, only 60s because of that wind coming off of the water. And it's a gusty one. Right now, those gusts upwards of 20, 30 miles per hour throughout this afternoon. The winds stay high, upwards of 35 miles per hour, and keep that breeze coming in off of the water throughout this afternoon. So it'll still feel chilly because the water temperature is only 50 degrees. As we head into tomorrow, the winds start to shift direction and move in from the north and west, and that just keeps the clouds coming in with kind of damp conditions into Friday, and then eventually we clear things out beautifully for the weekend. So the good news about this little bit of a reprieve is the break from the pollen, because with high levels of pollen that have been pretty prolific, especially for trees and grasses, the rains will help to lower that beginning this afternoon into tonight and over the next few days. You can even see here with all of these rain showers moving on by from our north, the rain is pretty close. It's knocking on our door, and it's going to be around for most of tonight, even through tomorrow. There's your 70% chance, but right down to 0 on Saturday and low chances going into next week as that weather stays nice and dry. So the futurecast has plenty of cloud cover throughout this afternoon. Later at this afternoon, the rain moves in tonight. There's our low that just sits offshore, spins around all these clouds and showers, interacting with the other low offshore, and that just keeps us cloudy throughout Friday evening. Saturday stays nice and clear. Sunday may have some early morning sprinkles, but beyond that, it is dry and warm. Look at these highs that get all the way into the 90s as soon, well, upper 80s. It was 90 before. 89 degrees there in northern New Jersey by Sunday afternoon. There's the 91 on Tuesday. So it stays above average. These are more average temperatures for July rather than the end of May. And even throughout the shore points with the wind out of the north and west, keeping away the sea breeze, warm weather for you right through the weekend into next, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. It is now 57 degrees in northern New Jersey, 56 degrees in Trenton. It's 55 in Cape May and 56 in Vineland. We have a couple of traffic issues to tell you about right now. On the Garden State Parkway, we have a crash southbound north of exit 136 Stiles Street, Cranford. All lanes are open, but there is nonetheless a little brake check going through there. Also on the Garden State, a crash northbound just north of exit 144, Route 510 Newark. All lanes open again, just a slow down as you make your way through. The New Jersey Turnpike has debris, and that is on the outer roadway southbound north of interchange 8, Route 33 Cranberry. The center lane is blocked as a result there. We have a crash on Route 55 northbound south of exit 58, Deptford Center Road in Deptford Township. Left lane is closed. Route 29 has a crash northbound north of 295 Hamilton. That's down in central Jersey. The right shoulder is closed. And yes, there is such a thing as central Jersey. A lot of people, no, it's only northern and southern. There's central Jersey. We'll have that debate later. The approaches to the Hudson River. Now we have a bunch of messes right now. Let's take a look at at 139. This is from Route 78 into the Holland Tunnel, and we have a problem right there in the Holland Tunnel. So that is causing the delay you see right there. It's going to cost you a solid 45 minutes into Manhattan via the Holland Tunnel. Also very slow. If we can punch up the cam at Columbia Avenue, Pam, when you get a chance. This is the approach to the Lincoln Tunnel. There's been a problem for about an hour now on the approach to 495. So first from the Turnpike to 495, and then once you get onto 495 by the Helix, we have a breakdown as well. So you can see the slow traffic there. Those middle lanes making their way into the Helix to the Lincoln Tunnel, and the GWB upper and lower levels right now also absolute mess, upper and lower levels, GWB 8095 approach. We are talking about 40 to 45 minutes into Manhattan. So that's what we have, and that's what we are dealing with right now. It is 8:35, and we have a temperature 51 degrees. An anti-Israel mob clashed with counter-protesters near a Brooklyn synagogue Monday night, less than a week after a similar demonstration in Manhattan. At least 3 people were held by police after agitators swarmed the area near the Young Israel Senior Services of Midwood. The anti-Israel mob chanted Palestine is ours alone, and several carried a wide banner that read Israel is killing children. The demonstration mirrored another that wreaked havoc at Park East Synagogue in Manhattan May 5th. Both were organized by anti-Israel activist group Pal Oda NYNJ, which promoted the rallies with slogans such as No Settlers on Stolen Land and Stop the Sale of Stolen Palestinian Land. It looks like the thumping she got during last week's LA mayoral debate has forced LA Mayor Karen Bass to skip out on the upcoming mayoral debate scheduled for tonight. Bass will instead travel to Sacramento. The spokesperson for Bass says she has to go there to fight for critical state funding, housing, homelessness, and Palisades recovery. Of course, she originally agreed upon the debate and then decided that she would go and do that. Isn't it funny how when you get trounced in a debate, you decide you don't need the second debate. Instead, you have to go fight for your community. But nonetheless, it's like, okay, we want to see you debate. You can do both. You can walk and chew gum. And if you can't, by the way, then maybe you shouldn't be mayor. So it'll be interesting to see if they do have a third scheduled debate, which was scheduled for next week. But right now, after skipping out on the second, we'll see what happens. 8:37 is our time, and small businesses are the heartbeat of communities, creating jobs and filling needs. During National Small Business Month, Citizens is shining a spotlight on businesses making a real difference through its 2026 Small Business Community Champion Awards. Nuno Francisco is business banking market executive at Citizens, and he's here to talk about more of this year's Community Champion Award winners. In its 9 years, the program has directed nearly $2 million to small businesses working to strengthen their communities. Good morning to you, Nuno.
Good morning, Ken. How are you? Thanks for having us on. Appreciate the time.
Good, and please pronounce your last name for us because our producers did not get it for me. So please
Yeah,
tell
it's
me the proper.
Francisco, just like the city.
All right, wanted to make sure. All right, thank you, Nuno. All right, so what inspired the Small Business Community Champion Award program?
Yeah, it's a program where this year's cohort, and as you said, over the last 9 years, over $2 million of impact to small businesses. It really recognizes for-profit businesses that demonstrate a commitment for strengthening their communities while sustaining and growing operations. Right. The award in itself is designed to support businesses that are responding to things like workforce shortages, affordability pressures, shifts in how communities access education, care and services, and really maintaining long-term business viability. That's really at the heart and the core of what the program is supposed to serve, is really support those businesses that need it the most, that show that need.
And of course, it is National Small Business Month, and this year we have another round of winners. So what stood out to you about the 2026 honorees?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the economic environment and things that are happening in today's business world, I think what sticks out for me, it's really we got a great cohort, and it's about those small businesses that really play a central role in local economies like New Jersey. When you think about providing employment, essential services, the community infrastructure, and even though this year's cohort doesn't include a New Jersey recipient, the program has had really impact in the state over time. We have about just 10 winners in the last number of years. And when you see the impact, the trickle down impact that these funds have on these businesses, it's something that to really proud for us to kind of look back on and be proud of when we think about the impact that is having.
So the businesses recognized come from a very wide range of industries, not injuries, thankfully, healthcare and childcare to wellness and education. So why was it so important to highlight such a diverse group of organizations?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the ecosystem of the New Jersey business environment, it's a priority for us to highlight and support the businesses that are in our communities. And we do that by supporting those industries. So when you think about the New Jersey business landscape, I say it all the time, Ken, New Jersey's like the envy of the world. So when you think about a broad range of industries, we want to make sure that we apply that when we think about the recipients and the cohort for 2026. We want to make sure that we touch on all aspects, because those are the businesses that are our clients. Those are our businesses that are touching our communities and really driving that employment, that role of entrepreneurship and vision and growth, et cetera. So that's something that always stays top of mind when we think about the businesses that are chosen, the companies that we try to impact.
So now these recipients don't just get the honor, and that's a big thing. They also get $10,000, right, along with a luminary membership. So how can those resources help those small businesses grow and create a real long-term impact?
Yeah, so they have a $10,000 award, as you said, and they receive a 1-year membership to Luminary, which is a global education and community platform for entrepreneurship. It's an amazing platform and partnership that we've developed here over the years. And essentially, the goal is for these folks to support these owners and building the sustainable businesses that they envision, addressing those real community needs, whether it's workforce development, access to care, again, education, empowering employees, the development and uplifting of employers. So it is something that for us, in our mind, goes a really long way in the day-to-day of a business.
And the program began years ago, but since the program began, Citizens has awarded nearly $2 million. That is a lot of money. So what kind of impact have you seen these investments make over the years?
Ken, I mean, it's been amazing. So when we think about the things that sometimes move needles for businesses, whether it's centering around keeping their staff in order, perhaps it's putting that piece of equipment in play when they didn't have access to it before. Perhaps it's something to do with retention when we think about all things going on in labor. Maybe it's something that's applied to a marketing opportunity to amplify the business and the impact that it has in the community. Maybe sometimes just to take on more capacity. Maybe it's to renovate a space that they currently occupy because they're in that growth phase. Maybe it's getting access to a bigger space that they occupy. So it's one of these things throughout the year when you think about the impact, when you think about the highlight, and you see it in the billboards, as I always say, Times Square, Small Business Month, right? Like we try to amplify the opportunity, but really drive impact to the local communities.
The website, citizensbank.com. Nuno Francisco, business banking market executive at Citizens. Thank you so much for what you guys do and for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us, Ken. Pleasure.
You bet. It is 8:43, and when we come back, our friends from AARP New Jersey will have a word of caution about scams popping up against the elderly. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Ken Rosato at 8:46. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. We got to talk some rain because we had a beautiful, dry stretch of weather. But we need a little bit of rain around here, especially with the dry weather that we've had for the last several days. And with about an inch of rain expected to fall over the next several days, look at the stripe of green extending all the way across New Jersey, really right along the turnpike. That is what's expected to give us a healthy dose of soaking rains beginning later on this evening, lasting through the overnight, and helping to provide a little bit of relief from the 1 to 2 inch rainfall deficit that's been giving us our drought for the last several weeks. So southern New Jersey has that severe drought, the rest of the state in a moderate drought, but we'll see a little bit of improvement today, especially with those soaking rains tonight. Temperatures this afternoon with the sunshine followed by clouds, warm into the mid 70s. Longer range has a little bit of a higher chance of rainfall ahead, but May is typically a drier month, so we'll just call it average and going into the next few weeks. And then the warm up ahead through the end of May also looks pretty impressive, with signs of it showing up on the 7-day, especially beginning this weekend. We go from the 60s tomorrow and Friday into the 80s, maybe near 90 by Sunday afternoon, remain in the upper 80s to around 90 into early next week, and stay dry and sunny. Really warm stuff on the way, even down the shore, with a northwesterly wind taking over, keeping away that chilly sea breeze. You could even get into the 80s there by the end of next week. So really pleasant weather on the way, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, Mike. And by the way, tonight I'm going to be at that special event that we talked about yesterday, Pendry Naturar, from 6:30 to 9:30. I'll tell you, the fancy schmancy people will show up for real estate. We'll take some pictures too.
Well, bring
But
your
Mike,
weather
we will
prep
see
umbrella
you.
because you'll need it.
Absolutely will. In fact, they wanted to do
Mhm.
part of it outdoors, and they said because of your forecast, they moved it indoors. Just so you know, they're listening.
Mhm.
All right, Mike, we'll check in the morning. Thank you, sir. 8:48 right now. And now a segment from our friends at AARP New Jersey. As New Jersey works to protect some of its most vulnerable residents, oversight and accountability in long-term care facilities remain a critical priority. The Office of the State Comptroller plays a key role in investigating fraud, ensuring transparency, and safeguarding taxpayer dollars, especially when it comes to Medicaid-funded services. Medicaid money is such a big chunk of the state budget. Joining us now are New Jersey Comptroller Shirley Emahelu and Josh Lickblau, who's director of the Medicaid Fraud Division, to discuss how their office is working to protect seniors and strengthen trust in the system. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Ken.
And I said Emahelu, it's Emahelu, right?
That is perfect.
All right. And I practiced it too. I'm sorry I made a mistake going in initially. Shirley, please tell us the role of the comptroller in New Jersey, because I think a lot of people hear it and they say they've heard it pronounced controller, comptroller. Tell us what a controller does, and it's all about the bucks, right?
That's absolutely right. And it is comptroller with a P. Our role at a high level is to protect New Jersey taxpayer dollars. We ensure that taxpayer dollars are spent as they're supposed to be. That is efficiently, transparently, and in the best interests of the public. We do that through our investigations, our contract reviews, our audits, and we identify any red flags that may be occurring to make sure that any unusual spending inconsistencies are addressed. And we do this really to promote transparency, to promote accountability, and to build trust in our governmental systems.
So when your office comes knocking, that's when we should be shaking in our boots. So we don't want to be. But if you're just honest and you take care of your books the right way, you don't have to worry about it, right?
That's absolutely correct. Certainly we are an oversight agency and we, take our work very seriously, but we are often collaborating with our governmental entities that we are auditing or investigating, really to help them reach compliance. We are not just here to be a boogeyman of sorts. We really are endeavoring to help to make sure our governmental entities are working as they're supposed to be, and to make sure that the Medicaid program that is administered by the state is being operating thoroughly, effectively, efficiently, and that providers are not abusing the Medicaid program and obtaining reimbursements that they are not entitled to. So we certainly take our role very seriously. But again, our endeavor is to make sure that we are moving toward compliance, and we are often doing that in a collaborative but very serious fashion.
And of course, Shirley gave us the perfect segue there because we have our Medicaid person right here. So thank you for that, Shirley. Josh, what is the mission of the Medicaid Fraud Division? And Medicaid, I think a lot of people don't realize what percentage of the state budget goes to Medicaid. Isn't it close to half? It's like 40 something percent.
It's the second largest expenditure in our state budget behind education. The state overall, in total, with federal and state dollars, spends over 26 billion with a B dollars on the Medicaid program, which covers about 1.8 million residents of the state. Almost half the children in New Jersey are on Medicaid. It is a very large program, and our role is essentially the watchdog of the program. As Shirley was saying, we guard the fisc of the program, so we make sure that the money is spent effectively and appropriately as it's supposed to be spent. We audit, investigate providers, Medicaid providers, among many other things, and we work to improve the oversight of the Medicaid program, which is essentially a joint venture between the state and managed care organizations, insurance companies, which provide the networks for the Medicaid beneficiaries.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about billions and billions of dollars, the opportunity for somebody to cheat the system is so there, and that's why it is so essential to have you, Shirley, and you, Josh, there to make sure, and your agencies, your respective agencies, to make sure that people stay on the straight and narrow, because the temptation is there, I'm sure, for many people. Although we have 99%, thankfully, of our medical providers who are as honest as the day is long, and then you get those few just double bill this, double bill that, they'll never notice. And they do that to the tune of millions of dollars. So surely transparency you talked about is so essential, specifically now in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. That's really important, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's been one of our focus areas in the past couple years. It's a very important area. My father himself, before he passed away, spent time in a nursing home, and really, the public is trusting these facilities to take care of their loved ones, sometimes at end of stage of life or through a medical crisis. And so we are working hard every day to make sure that nursing homes are providing care that is sufficient to meet the needs of the residents, that they are not cutting corners through understaffing, through inappropriate billings to basically profiteer off the Medicaid program at the expense of nursing home residents. Now, obviously there are bad apples. There are also good apples, many so, in the nursing home industry, but we really want to make sure that those facilities that are not meeting the needs of their residents, while at the same time profiting from the Medicaid program, that we are going after them, that we are seeking recoupments of Medicaid payments, that we are seeking penalties where appropriate. And Josh can tell you more about our successes, but I believe to date we've recouped over $100 million for the Medicaid program. And that goes back not just to the federal government, but also to the state. So we are also preserving important state dollars.
That's amazing. And we're down to our last minute, but I definitely have to bring Josh in on that. Some of the warning signs that people need to look out for when it comes to potential fraud, Josh.
Well, in a nursing home setting, I think the easiest or the most apparent warning sign would be low staffing. high turnover in staffing. If you or a loved one is in a nursing home and you see that care is not being given in a timely way, that's a warning sign of a major problem. There's a long-term care ombudsman who's essentially an advocate for residents who's available to help in those situations. Our office is available as well. But I think that the easiest warning sign, the quickest one to see, is a low staffing. So if you're visiting someone in a nursing home and you see that staff is overwhelmed, there's not nearly enough people to address the needs of the residents, that's a big problem.
And that is a big deal. And having an 88 and 95-year-old parents right now who have been in nursing homes recently for rehab, I've witnessed it firsthand, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Two different nursing homes, totally different. One had lots of staff, one had none. And I heard all the rumors about the one that had none. So I appreciate you both. New Jersey is very lucky to have you both keeping an eye on things. We appreciate you. We'd love to have you back. Again, the website for AARP is aarp.org/New Jersey/NJ. New Jersey Comptroller, and that's Comptroller, Shirley Emahelu, and Director of Medicaid Fraud Division, Josh Lichtblau. Thank you both for coming on this morning, and thank you both for what you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet. It is 8:57, and that's our show this morning. 51 degrees northern New Jersey, 56 degrees in Trenton. Mike Favetta tells us cloudy, windy today, highs in the low 70s. A little sun early, and then it becomes cloudier through the day. That is on New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday, May 13th. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you could stream us on 20 different platforms, so check us out. All different platforms, and we'll have an app coming out to you soon, we promise. Tell all your friends about us. Till tomorrow morning at 7. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you on New Jersey Mornings.